A strange silence fell over the world when the alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were big. Not just big, but huge. They blocked out stars like they were nothing. People on Earth looked up, some in fear, others in wonder, and most in confusion. The first message came through loud and clear. It was not a threat. It was an invitation. "We are the Deathworld Alliance," the message said. "We have watched your kind from afar. You fight often. You destroy your own lands. You survive impossible odds. We invite you to join us." Governments scrambled, scientists argued, soldiers trained. Nobody knew what to expect. But after weeks of back-and-forth talks, the decision was made. Humanity would send a team to meet the Alliance face-to-face. Among those chosen was Ethan Blake. He used to be a Marine. Now he worked as a security consultant. He was not tall, not flashy, but he had a calm way about him that made people listen. He was picked to lead the military side of the mission. Next to him stood Lena Harper. She was sharp, quick with both her mind and her mouth. Once a top analyst for a government agency, she quit after getting tired of red tape. She saw this mission as a chance to see something real. Daniel Ruiz rounded out the core team. He was a tech guy, not just any tech guy. He was the kind who could hack into systems without touching a keyboard. He talked fast, moved faster, and always seemed to know more than he should. Then there was Maggie Carter, pilot, mechanic, survivalist. She didn't talk much, but when she did, everyone listened. She had flown through storms that grounded other planes and landed in places where no sane person would try. Together, they made up the human delegation's field team. Behind them were diplomats, scientists, and soldiers, all handpicked by the United Nations. They were going to the heart of the Alliance, a planet called Karzan Prime. Nobody knew much about it. Reports said it was dangerous, extreme weather, violent wildlife, and worst of all, it was home to the fiercest warriors in the known galaxy. The journey took weeks. The alien ship that carried them was massive, built more like a fortress than a spacecraft. Everything inside was too big, too heavy, and too loud. The humans tried not to show how overwhelmed they were. During the trip, Ethan kept his team focused. Lena studied everything she could find on the Alliance. Daniel played with alien tech, trying to understand how it worked. Maggie stayed quiet, watching, listening. When they finally arrived, the view was breathtaking. The planet below was dark, covered in thick clouds and glowing rivers of fire. Jagged mountains rose like broken teeth. The sky pulsed with colors that didn't belong to any sunset they had ever seen. The landing was rough. The ground shook when the ship touched down. Outside, the air was hot and thick, filled with smells that made their skin crawl. Every breath felt heavier than the last. They stepped onto the surface and were met by a crowd of aliens. Some were tall, with bodies like snakes wrapped in armor. Others were short and wide, built like tanks with eyes on stalks. One had wings. Another had claws longer than a man's arm. None of them looked friendly. A voice boomed through the air. "Welcome, humans. You have been invited to prove your worth." Ethan stepped forward. "We're ready to talk," he said. There was laughter, deep, guttural, and full of doubt. "Talk comes later. First, you must survive." Before they could ask what that meant, the ground beneath them shifted. Metal plates slid apart, revealing a deep pit. Lights flickered on, showing a massive arena below. "You will fight," said the voice, "not against each other, against what we have prepared." Ethan looked at his team. Lena raised an eyebrow. Daniel muttered under his breath. Maggie cracked her neck. This was not part of the plan. The humans were guided down into the arena. The walls were lined with seats, and the other species gathered above, watching like they were about to see a show. In the center of the arena stood a cage. Inside, something growled. It was big, taller than a man. Black skin, glowing eyes, and claws that looked like they could tear through steel. "What the hell is that?" Maggie asked. "Something that kills anything it touches," said a translator drone nearby. Ethan looked up. The crowd was silent now, waiting. "This is the first test," said the voice again. Survive. The cage door opened. The creature charged. Ethan reacted instantly. He rolled to the side, drawing his pistol. Lena fired a rifle, aiming for the eyes. Daniel threw a grenade-like device he had modified earlier. Maggie climbed onto a platform, looking for a better shot. The beast was fast. It dodged bullets, leapt across the arena, and struck with terrifying strength. One of the other aliens sent down to test alongside them was torn apart in seconds, but the humans did not panic. Ethan shouted orders. Lena adjusted her aim. Daniel activated a pulse that slowed the creature's movements for a few seconds. Maggie fired. Her bullet hit the beast in the chest. It staggered. Ethan rushed in, grabbing its arm and twisting it back. The joint snapped with a sickening crunch. He pulled out a knife and drove it into the creature's neck. It thrashed, then fell still. The arena went silent. Then, slowly, some of the aliens began to clap. Others hissed or roared in anger, but many stared in shock. The humans stood together, breathing hard, weapons still in hand. Ethan looked up. "We're not soft," he said. "We're not weak. We fight dirty, we think fast, and we don't give up." No one answered. "The next test begins tomorrow," said the voice. As the humans were led away, they passed through corridors filled with whispers. "They fight like animals, but smarter." Word spread quickly. By the time they returned to their quarters, the other delegations were already talking. The humans had survived the first test. Barely anyone else had. Lena sat down, rubbing her temples. "Well, that was fun," she said. "Fun?" Daniel asked. "I thought I was going to die." "We lived," Ethan said, "and we showed them we can handle ourselves." Maggie looked out the window. "Tomorrow's going to be worse," she said. "Maybe," Ethan agreed, "but we'll be ready." Outside, the sky burned red. Lightning flashed across the horizon. Somewhere in the distance, a roar echoed through the night. Karzan Prime was not done testing them yet, but the humans were not done proving themselves either. The next morning, the humans were woken by a loud horn. It echoed through their quarters like a war cry. They had barely slept after the first test. Their bodies ached, their minds raced, but there was no time to rest. A drone arrived at their door. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "Today's trial begins in 1 hour. Report to the arena." Ethan stood up, stretching his sore muscles. "Well," he said, "let's see what they throw at us now." They walked through the halls of the alien base. The walls were made of black metal that pulsed with strange lights. The air smelled like burnt ozone. Other species moved through the corridors, some giving the humans looks of respect, others filled with anger. In the arena, things looked different. The ground had changed. Instead of sand, there were broken buildings, twisted metal, and deep pits filled with steam. The place looked like a battlefield frozen in time. Aliens filled the stands again. Some chanted, others stayed silent. All eyes were on the humans. From the speaker above, the same booming voice returned. "This is a survival test. You will be dropped into an active combat zone. Your mission is simple. Reach the extraction point within 2 hours. You will not be alone." With a loud crash, metal doors opened. Several teams stepped onto the field, each from a different species. The Vortrak, known for their strength. The Zilari, fast and smart. The Vrakari, brutal and deadly. All of them wanted to prove they were better than the humans. Ethan looked at Lena, Daniel, and Maggie. "This isn't just a test," he said. "It's a race, and we're not going to lose." The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The arena floor shifted. The humans and the others were dropped into the battlefield below. Smoke filled the air. Gunfire cracked in the distance. Something roared far off, shaking the ground. They landed behind a ruined wall. Ethan quickly took stock. "We need to move fast," he said. "Stay low. Watch each other's backs." They started moving. The terrain was rough. Broken towers leaned over them like ghosts. Wires hung from the sky like spider legs. Every step was dangerous. Daniel tapped his wrist device. "I'm picking up enemy signals. Big ones. What kind of big? Maggie asked. Really big, he said. They didn't have to wait long to find out. Ahead, a massive creature emerged from the smoke. It was covered in armor-like skin with 4 arms and glowing red eyes. It carried a weapon built into its body, a plasma cannon that fired bursts of fire. It saw them and charged. Move! Ethan shouted. Bullets flew. The creature dodged most of them, but Lena hit it in the eye. It howled in pain and fired back. Maggie dove behind cover. Daniel pulled out a small remote device. I can hack it, he said. Give me 10 seconds. Do it, Ethan said. Lena, keep it distracted. She fired again, aiming for weak spots. The beast turned toward her. Ethan ran out and drew its attention. He fired, drawing its fire away from Lena. Maggie aimed carefully and fired a shot into the creature's shoulder joint. It staggered. Daniel pressed a button on his device. The creature froze mid-step. Got it, he yelled. The beast fell forward, crashing into the ground with a loud boom. Everyone stood still, breathing hard. Is it dead? Lena asked. Not sure, Maggie said. But it ain't getting up anytime soon. Good enough, Ethan said. Move out. They kept going. More enemies appeared. Drones, traps, wild animals. The terrain shifted under them. Sometimes the ground collapsed into lava pits. Sometimes the sky rained acid, but the humans adapted. Daniel used tech to disable traps. Lena spotted ambushes before they happened. Maggie took out snipers before they could shoot. Ethan led them like a machine. Fast, precise, never stopping. They passed other teams along the way. Some were injured, some were dead. One Zalari team tried to ambush them. Ethan talked them down, offering help if they joined forces. They refused. 5 minutes later, they were buried under falling debris. The humans reached the halfway mark faster than any other team. The speaker above crackled. Humans are leading the race. The crowd in the stands erupted. Some cheered. Many booed in the control room. Alliance leaders watched closely. They are fast, one said. Too fast. They think like predators, another added. They do not follow rules. They make their own, said a third. Back in the field, the humans faced their biggest challenge yet. A river of molten rock blocked their path. Across it was a bridge, but it was guarded by a group of Rakari warriors. They were tall, armored, and angry. You go no further, their leader growled. Ethan stepped forward. We don't want a fight, he said. We just need to cross. The Vrakari laughed. Then, you should not have come here. They raised their weapons. Lena and Maggie got ready to fire. Wait, Daniel whispered. I might have an idea. He pulled out a small device and threw it behind the Vrakari. Seconds later, it exploded in a cloud of bright light and sound. The Vrakari turned, confused. Now! Ethan shouted. They ran across the bridge while the Vrakari were distracted. Behind them, the leader roared in anger. This is not over, human. The humans kept running. They reached the extraction point with 12 minutes to spare. A ship landed. The ramp lowered. Come on, Ethan said. Let's get out of here. They climbed aboard. The door closed behind them. As the ship lifted off, they looked down at the battlefield. We did it, Lena said. Barely, Maggie added. Daniel grinned. We kicked ass. Ethan sat back, tired but satisfied. We showed them what we're made of. Below, the arena was quiet again, but the message had spread. The humans were not just survivors, they were hunters, and the Deathworld Alliance was starting to realize they had invited something they could not control. After the second test, the humans were no longer just participants, they were legends in the making. Word spread fast through the stands and halls of Karzan Prime. The humans did not follow rules. They did not fight like others. They adapted, they survived, and they won. But not everyone was happy. In the upper chambers of the Alliance Council, voices rose in anger and fear. They are too dangerous, said auxiliary leader. Their minds are unpredictable. Their tactics break every known rule of battle. Another voice answered, colder and deeper. They are dangerous because they do not see limits. They see only problems and solutions. A third speaker, tall and covered in black armor, stood up. We must stop them before they take more than we are willing to give. The next phase of the trials began not with a fight, but with talk. The humans were invited to a diplomatic summit. It was held in a massive hall carved from stone that glowed with red light. Alien leaders filled the room. Some had tails, some had wings. All of them watched the humans with sharp eyes. Ethan walked in with Lena, Daniel, and Maggie close behind. He kept his face calm, but he could feel the tension in the air. It was thick like smoke. A Vakari leader stepped forward. His armor clanked with every step. His voice was deep and full of hate. You think you have earned your place here, human, but I say you have only proven that you cheat. Cheating implies breaking rules, Ethan said. We used what we had. Nothing more. The Vakari growled. You did not fight like warriors. You used tricks. You ran when you should have stood. You hid when you should have died. Maggie stepped forward. If hiding keeps me alive, then I'll keep doing it, she said. The crowd murmured. Some laughed. Others looked angry. The Zalari leader raised a hand for silence. We are not here to argue over past battles. We are here to decide if humanity deserves a place among us. He turned to Ethan. Prove to us that you belong. Not in the arena, but in the field, on real ground. Under real fire. Ethan met his gaze. What kind of mission? The Xilari pointed to a screen behind him. It showed a planet covered in dark clouds. Lightning cracked across the sky. The surface was broken, filled with ruins and moving shadows. This world belongs to no one now. Once, it was home to an AI that grew beyond its creators. It wiped them out and now waits, waiting for something it cannot name. Many have tried to reach its core and failed. None have returned. The Xilari's eyes burned. Take a team. Go there. Destroy the core. Bring back proof. And we will believe you are worthy. Ethan glanced at Lena. She gave a small nod. Daniel looked nervous but interested. Maggie simply crossed her arms. Fine, Ethan said. We'll go. Preparations began quickly. The Alliance provided transport, weapons, and a mixed team of aliens to accompany them. Most were volunteers. Some came out of curiosity. Others came to watch the humans fail. The ship dropped them onto the planet at dawn. The sky was dark even in daylight. Wind howled like ghosts. Trees twisted toward the sky like frozen screams. As soon as they landed, the group moved out. The terrain was rough. Metal bones of old machines stuck out of the ground like grave markers. Strange lights flickered in the distance. Daniel checked his scanner. I'm picking up movement. A lot of it. Not organic, Lena said. It's mechanical. Something is watching us, Maggie added. They pressed forward. The deeper they went, the worse it got. Drones flew overhead. Turrets fired from hidden places. The ground shifted underfoot, revealing traps that crushed anything caught inside. One of the alien soldiers, a Vortrak, stepped wrong and fell into a pit lined with blades. He screamed once. Then silence. The others stopped. We need a new plan, Ethan said. We don't have time for long talks, Lena replied. We need to move smart. She pulled out a small drone and sent it flying ahead. It mapped the safest path through the ruins. Good thinking, Ethan said. Always, she replied. They followed the drone's route. It led them past danger zones and into the heart of the city. There they found the entrance to the core. It was guarded by machines unlike any they had seen before. Sleek, fast, built for war. The battle was fast and brutal. Ethan took point. He fired short bursts, keeping the enemy off. Balance. Lena flanked them, hitting weak spots. Maggie provided covering fire from high ground. Daniel hacked into the system, slowing the machines down just enough. The aliens fought too. Some held their own. Others panicked. One of the Vakari soldiers was caught by a machine. It wrapped around him like a snake and crushed him. His body hit the ground with a heavy thud. The rest hesitated. "Don't stop," Ethan shouted. "Keep pushing." They broke through the last line of defense and reached the core. It pulsed with dark energy. Wires hung from the ceiling like veins. Daniel looked at it and smiled. "This is going to be fun." He pulled out a device and attached it to the core. It started counting down. 5 minutes. "We need to move," he said. They ran. Behind them, the core exploded in a flash of white light. The shockwave knocked them off their feet. Buildings crumbled. The sky cracked open. They barely made it back to the ship. As they lifted off, the planet below burned. The mission was complete. Back on Karzan Prime, the Alliance waited. "Did you succeed?" asked the Zalari leader. Ethan stepped forward. He held up a piece of the core still glowing. "We did more than survive," he said. "We completed the mission. We saved your people, and we brought back proof." The room was silent. Then slowly the Vrakari leader who had called them cheaters stepped forward. He looked at Ethan for a long time. "You are not like the others," he said. "You do not fight like warriors. You fight like hunters." He bowed his head slightly. "I respect that." Others in the crowd nodded. Some still looked angry, but none spoke against them. The Alliance had begun to change. Humans were no longer guests. They were equals. And maybe, someday, they would be more. As the humans left the chamber, Lena let out a breath. "Well, that wasn't so bad." "Bad," Maggie said. "We almost died 3 times. Still better than the arena," Daniel added. Ethan looked at them all. "We're not done yet. They wanted to see what we're made of. Now they know. Somewhere in the halls of the Alliance, a new message spread. Beware the humans. They do not play by the rules. They do not fight fair, and they do not lose." Not everyone in the Deathworld Alliance was happy with how things were going. The humans had passed every test. They had survived what others could not. They had fought smarter, faster, and harder than any species the Alliance had ever seen. Some, aliens, respected them. Some feared them, but one group hated them. In the shadows of Karzan Prime, behind closed doors and silent halls, a secret meeting took place. 5 figures stood around a glowing table filled with maps and reports. All of them belonged to different species. All of them wore armor or robes that marked them as leaders. One of them, a tall Zalari with silver eyes, spoke first. "We have let the humans rise too far," he said. "If we do not act now, they will take more than we are willing to give." Another, a Vrakari general covered in scars, nodded. "They do not belong here. They are not warriors. They are animals who think too much." A third voice, softer but colder, came from a hooded figure. "Then we must make sure they fall." Back on the surface, Ethan and his team were given time to rest. Their quarters were nicer than before. The Alliance treated them like honored guests, but they knew better than to relax. Lately, strange things had been happening. Daniel noticed that some of the tech around the base had been tampered with. Lena overheard conversations in dark corners where human names were whispered with hate. Maggie kept her hand near her weapon at all times. Something was wrong. One night, a loud explosion rocked the city. Fire lit up the sky. Smoke rose from the main council building. Ethan, Lena, Daniel, and Maggie ran outside. Soldiers were already moving. Alarms blared. People shouted. "What the hell happened?" Maggie asked. Daniel checked his scanner. Someone hit the building with a high-yield charge. It wasn't random. "Was anyone inside?" Ethan asked. "Lucky for us," Lena said. "The council was supposed to meet there tomorrow, meaning someone wanted them dead," Maggie added. "And guess who's getting blamed?" Daniel said. He pointed to a screen nearby. News was spreading fast. Humans suspected an attack on Alliance Council. The footage showed blurry images of 2 figures wearing human gear. One carried a bomb. The other looked like a soldier. It was fake. But most wouldn't know that. Ethan clenched, his jaw. "This isn't just an attack. It's a setup." "We need to prove it," Lena said. Before they could move, Soldiers surrounded their quarters. A Verkari officer stepped forward. "You are under arrest for the bombing of the council chamber." "Like hell." "We are," Maggie growled. "Stand down," Ethan said. "We didn't do this." The officer didn't care. "Orders come from the top. You are dangerous. And now, you are criminals." They were taken away. Inside a cold metal cell, the four sat together. "This is bad," Daniel said. "Really bad. If we don't clear our names," Lena said. "We're not just stuck here, we're finished." Ethan looked out through the small window in the door. "We find who did this," he said, "and we stop them." That night, while the guards changed shifts, Daniel went to work. Using parts from his gear and a stolen datapad, he hacked into the prison system. "I've got access to security logs," he said. "And guess what?" "What?" Maggie asked. "The fake video of us?" It was uploaded from a terminal inside the council chamber itself, hours after the blast, so whoever made it was already inside when it happened, Lena said. "Which means they're part of the Alliance," Ethan said. "We need proof," Maggie said. "Then we go get it," Ethan replied. With Daniel's help, they escaped. They moved through the dark halls of the base, avoiding patrols, slipping past cameras. Lena led them to the control room. She pulled up files. "Here," she said. "Internal messages between high-ranking officials. Planning something called Operation Red Tide." "What's Red Tide?" Maggie asked. Daniel read through the files. "A plan to remove the current Alliance leadership, replace them with hardliners." "And blame it all on us?" "Son of a bitch," Maggie muttered. "We need to warn someone," Lena said. "But who would believe us?" Ethan had an idea. There was one alien who had always watched them closely. Not with hate, not with fear, but with curiosity. A Zalari scientist named Virek. He had studied human behavior since they arrived. He respected their minds. He saw them, not as threats, but as puzzles. If anyone would listen, it would be him. They found him in his lab, surrounded by screens and notes. When he saw them, he didn't call for help. Instead, he smiled. "I was wondering when you would come to me." "We need your help," Ethan said. Virek listened as they explained everything. The fake video, the escape, the conspiracy. His face remained calm. "This changes everything," he said. "Can you get this information to someone who matters?" Lena asked. "Yes," Virek said, "but not without risk." "Do it anyway," Maggie said. He nodded. "I will speak to the High Council. I will tell them what you have found. Meanwhile, you must stay hidden. If they catch you again, there will be no trial, just execution." The next day, the Alliance held an emergency meeting. The High Council gathered once more. The same faces, the same doubts. Until Virek stepped forward, he played the real security footage, showed the fake video being uploaded, revealed the messages between conspirators. Shock spread through the hall. The Xalari leader stood. These traitors. They tried to destroy us from within. The Verkari general who had once doubted the humans looked at Ethan. "Did you know who they were?" "Not at first," Ethan said, "but we figured it out." The Xalari leader turned to the crowd. "The humans are not our enemies. They are our allies." The room fell silent. Then, slowly, some began to clap. Others followed. The humans had not only survived, they had uncovered a betrayal that could have torn the Alliance apart. As they left the chamber, Lena sighed. "Well, that was fun." "Fun?" Daniel said. "I almost died again." "Worth it," Maggie said. Ethan looked back at the council building. Things are changing, and for the first time, the Alliance was starting to see humanity not just as fighters, but as friends, and maybe even leaders. The trial was over. The betrayal had been uncovered, the traitors arrested or killed, and the Alliance stood on the edge of something new. Humans were no longer just visitors. They were not guests. They were not test subjects. They were equals, and, for some, maybe even more than that, After the council meeting, Ethan and his team were given time to prepare for their return to Earth. The Alliance offered them places among its ranks, but they all knew they didn't come here to stay. "We're not rulers," Lena said when asked if she wanted a seat on the council. "We're problem solvers, and our problems are back home." Daniel joked about staying just to study alien tech, but he knew better. Maggie only shook her head. "I like flying," she said, "not politics." Ethan met with the high leaders one last time. "Thank you," the Zalari leader said. "Without your help, we would have fallen apart. You did what no other species has done before," added the Vrikari general. "You showed us that strength is not only in the sword but in the mind." Ethan gave a small nod. "Just doing what we do best." "What is that?" asked a young Zalari diplomat. He smiled. "Surviving, adapting, winning." As they walked away from the council chamber, the city of Karzan Prime looked different now. Less threatening, less cold. People watched them as they passed. Some waved, some bowed. Others simply stared. They were legends now, not because they were stronger, faster, or smarter than anyone else. Because they did things differently. They broke rules. They made plans on the fly. They fought dirty when they had to and clean when it mattered, and they never backed down. Back at the spaceport, their ship waited. It wasn't the same one that brought them here. This one was newer, bigger, built with both human and alien tech. "Gift," said Virek, the Zalari scientist who helped them. "Why?" Ethan asked. "Because you proved that humans are not just dangerous," he said. "You are interesting." "Lucky us," Lena muttered. They stepped aboard. The ramp closed behind them. Through the window, they saw the crowd gathered below. Aliens of all kinds, watching. Waiting. Then slowly, someone started clapping. Others joined. Soon the whole platform echoed with sound. Not cheers, not war cries, but respect. The engines roared to life. The ship lifted off, leaving the red skies of Karzan Prime behind. Inside, the team relaxed for the first time in weeks. Daniel played with a piece of alien tech, trying to figure out how it worked. Lana leaned back in her seat, eyes closed. Finally, some peace. Maggie sat near the cockpit, watching the stars. Ethan stood by the window, looking at the planet shrinking behind them. "Did we do good?" Daniel asked. "We did more than that," Ethan said. "We changed something." "Changed what?" "Everything," Lena said. "The way they see us. The way we see ourselves." Maggie turned to him. "So what happens now?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Now, we go home. We tell our people what we saw, what we did, who we met. And then," he smiled, "then we get ready. Because this isn't the end. It's just the beginning." On Earth, the world waited. Governments tracked the ship's return. News stations ran stories every hour. People talked about the team like they were heroes. When they landed, there were cameras, soldiers, scientists, and a long line of questions. But Ethan didn't care. He stepped off the ship, took a deep breath of fresh air, and smiled. Home. Later that night, he sat on a quiet beach watching the waves crash against the sand. Behind him, Lena walked up with 2 drinks. "Mind if I join?" "Go ahead." She sat beside him. "Well, we made it back." "Barely," he said. "Still counts." They watched the sunset together. "Do you think they'll leave us alone now?" she asked. "No," he said. "They'll be watching, learning, preparing. For what? To see what humans do next." She laughed softly. "Should have invited someone else." "Maybe," he said, "but they picked us, and now they know why. Because we don't play fair, because we don't give up, because we win." She handed him a message pad from the Alliance. He opened it. Message received. "Your kind has proven itself. We wish to begin formal cooperation, requesting human trainers, strategists, and advisors. Terms negotiable." He read it once, twice. Then he smiled. Looks like we made the galaxy sit up and pay attention. She looked at him. What do you think? He handed her back the device. Let them watch closely, because we're just getting started. Above them, the sky darkened. Stars blinked into view. Somewhere out there, the Deathworld alliance was changing, and so was the rest of the universe. Because the humans had shown them one simple truth. In a galaxy full of predators, none were more dangerous than the ones from a blue marble spinning in the dark.